Ladies and gentlemen, now today we're going to be breaking down all of the ways to get 5-star champions in Marvel Contest of Champions 2019. Before we get into this video, I just want to give a kind of standard disclaimer that if you're an endgame veteran, if you've been playing this goddamn clown fiesta of a video game a little bit too long like I have, most of this information you're probably going to already know. There aren't too many secrets amongst the endgame community. This video is kind of primarily aimed at kind of newer and progressing players to kind of map out all of the ways that they can generate 5-star shards and kind of point them in the right direction of, maybe a few avenues they might be missing, and kind of throw out all my pro tips on how to kind of build up a strong 5-star roster and some of the stuff that you should be focusing on. And we've, jazzed up the guide a little bit. I've done this guide kind of 2 years in a row, but I decided, to export it to an Excel spreadsheet and also color code it and slightly label it as well with like 4 different colors. Green to represent kind of the easiest grind, yellow to represent stuff that isn't like super out of reach, but you do need to play the game for a few months in order to get your hands on. Orange represents, a fairly hard grind, stuff that is a little bit difficult to do, and you probably need a fair bit of time or, very close to maxed out 4-star characters in order to achieve. And red is the very, very hard grind, so the stuff that's either going to take a lot of time, a big roster, and just really, really stacked champions for. So to give you a bit of a rough idea, if you're searching out for easy picks on this list. But anyway, let's go over kind of the bog standard stuff. So one of the biggest sources for a lot of players, especially when you're entering the game, is monthly event quest completion. So every single month there's a new kind of themed event quest, and levels of difficulty, heroic, master, and uncollected reward a ton of 5-star shards. But one of the first objectives for kind of any new player after you've done Act 3 is to get heroic done 100% every single month, and then you can start clocking in 1,000 every single month from those rewards. And then the next thing to move on to is a mixture of like Act 4 completion and also pushing toward doing master exploration every month. And it's always good to try and take advantage of these events whenever they're active, because again, these ones are only around for a certain amount of time, only 4 or 5 weeks maximum, before the next month will come around there. But once you get the collector down in 5.2, then you unlock uncollected difficulty, and for the completion of that you get 2,500 5-star shards. So if you can push to that every month, that's going to be a huge boost to your 5-star stash there. And also if you can get 100%, it's 5,000 additional there, so it's 7,500 total. So kind of a huge part once you're looking to kind of progress on from 4-star champions and really solidify and build that 5-star roster is to get the collector down and 100% uncollected every single month. So that's kind of a big end game feat for a lot of people to do in order to get kind of big roster growth and progression. And if you're a very, very savvy player, you can actually get to this level in anywhere between about 3 to 6 months, depending on how much time you dedicate and how skilled you are at the game as well. But yeah, even quicker if you want to spend a little bit of money or be super good at the game as well, and get lucky with some champions. And then we have arena. So these are basically kind of all the breakdowns and my thoughts on how difficult the grind is. You've got the 4-star basic arena, the 4-star featured arena, and the 5-star featured arena. And you can see in comparison to previous years, there are so many more 5-star shards available and all sorts of milestones there. Especially if you're a new player as well, it's always kind of a good idea to grind as much as you can in the 4-star basic arena, just to get ideally in the top 45%, so you can gain some form of 5-star shard gain, along with, 4-star shards as well, and all the gold and battle chips. But really it's just, putting in as much time to arena if you do want the additional chunks of 5-star shards there. But on the counterpoint as well, I've built largely kind of my free-to-play account very, very rarely and almost never grinding arena in a lot of scenarios. So, in order to get big stacks of 5-star champions, you don't need to necessarily grind arena, but it certainly does help. And if you're putting in a decent grind every single week, you're going to find you're getting those 5-star champions a lot faster, especially if you're kind of hitting certain thresholds and milestones milestones in various arenas there. But for the super hardcore endgame grinders, like in the 5-star featured arena, if you can get in the top 30%, that's 1,000 additional 5-star shards every single round. So the people that are smashing out their top 1 to 10%, and that's, you know, below the featured champion there, that's an additional like 4,000 5-star shards every week. So you can really see, like, at the end game how 5-star shard gain can be a little bit crazy for very hardcore arena grinders there. But again, that's a lot of time to sink into arena, so just something to keep in mind there. Alliance War, this is actually now tier 12 and above. It used to be tier 11 and above, but for wins in Alliance War, tier 12 and above, and I think that's approximately the top 25% of the player base, so it is actually quite a large net of players there. There's a lot of people in the top 25% of alliances, but once you can get tier 12 and above, then you're getting 140 5-star shards per win, and this kind of scales up with every tier that you advance in to up to 630 5-star shards per win. And also for the exploration, I believe it's anywhere between kind of like 80 to 260. It can actually be even lower if you don't fully explore the map. But yeah, there are a fair amount of Alliance War shards that you can get on a weekly basis, and Alliance War is running 3 times a week, so a lot of these shards, you know, really in the bigger picture do add up quite quickly there. But also on top of Alliance War, you've got Alliance events as well. So one weekly thing that's got a really good revamp in the last year is kind of Summoner Advancement, and you kind of have via the milestones and also the ranked rewards just ways to get massive amounts of 5-star shards. You can just see the kind of way that it scales up. If we bring up this event in game at the moment, there is just, you know, really an insane amount of 5-star shards up for grabs, and even on the free-to-play alliance, I usually get somewhere between about 500 to 750 5-star shards every single week, and on the main account it's usually about 1,000 and a bit. So yeah, there's just a huge amount you can get from the upgraded milestones now and ranked rewards, so it makes it very beneficial, even in earlier alliances as well, to kind of be involved in an alliance that is pushing decently for summoner advancement. But also, if you're quite new to the game, you might notice that there might not be any 5-star shards. There might be instead 4-star shards and 3-star shards, and in order to upgrade it, you just need to, you know, get a decent roster of 4-star champions and kind of move up to an alliance that has like slightly better like summoner rating. So just something to keep in mind there. But again, summoner advancement is a big source of 5-star shards there. And also we have the 3-day events, the final milestone. The 3-day events have a fair amount of rewards, and there are so many of them. Stuff like item use, like use Avengers characters, Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and there's certain very easy stuff you can do to kind of push in certain events like Avengers and Guardian use to the final milestone by going into like really easy quests for those characters, because you just need to win fights. It's not any specific fights, so you've always got to kind of play a little bit clever if you want to reach the final milestones for those. But generally, it's a bit of a team effort, but most of the 3-day events are fairly straightforward for a lot of players to hit that final milestone. I know some people do struggle in certain ones, like getting everybody involved in stuff like Arena, but yeah, that's a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes, but most of them are really straightforward nowadays. And you can clock an additional 75 5-star shards here and there. Then we also have 3-day events. If you're in the top 30 in terms of points, you can get up to 300 bonus 5-star shards there. But again, that one is quite a competitive grind, because it also has the signature stones in as well. So not really an easy win there. Also, if you're doing all map 5 or all map 6, you can get an additional like 200 or 700 5-star shards every week with the Alliance quests. They kind of have these milestone rewards where you can get shards for kind of completing the maps every single day. But yeah, you do need to push very deep if you want the 5-star shards, and really you're only going to see these if you are running map 5 kind of all day every day. So that one, you know, is much deeper in the game, I would say. And one of the biggest sources for a lot of endgame players when you get to a level like you know, myself on the main account, is actually duplicating 4-star champions. And this is why it's very important that you never sell any 4-star champions, because whenever you get a second copy of it, you're going to get in 275 5-star shards plus a massive stack of ISO as well. But also, once you get that 4-star champion to dupe level 99, you get a max signature crystal, which 99 out of 100 times is going to give you an additional 275 5-star shards there. So for getting a 4-star duplicate, and pretty much every time I open a 4-star crystal, and at my rate they just drop like absolute candy, mate, they're all over the place, I'm getting 550 5-star shards. And because I'm just raking these in, man, I'm getting massive stacks of 5-star shards. But again, that's something more toward the end game. But if you start, you know, grinding the arena and looking at all the ways that you can get 4-star champions, it is surprising how quickly you can start duping them now that 4 stars are substantially more common than they used to be. But let me know in the comments below if you want a 4-star farming guide, because I can cover all of the ways to generate those as well. And then we've got first time clears. So this is the stuff that you can you know, only do once, but they reward either 5-star shards or a fully formed 5-star crystal. So you've got Act 4 completion. That's a fairly low bar there. You know, you can do it with maxed out 3-star champions, but by this time a lot of people have, you know, a couple of good 4 stars that can just breeze through some of the easy paths and smash that one out. But again, only 1,000 5-star shards there. Act 4 exploration. This takes a fair bit of time, but you know, there are a few benefits associated with it, like additional mastery points, 4,000 5-star shards and tier 2 alpha. So this is a good one to get around to eventually. And one of the ways, like when I started first playing the game, how I got, I think, like my first or second 5-star champion back in the day. And then we've got a lot of Act 5. There are so many 5-star shards knocking about in Act 5, but the real 5-star gain does come from Act 5, Chapter 4, 100%, which gives you 15,000 5-star shards. And in terms of like 100%ing Act 5, this is like the chapter to probably do second. Chapter 1 is like pretty straightforward to do. Chapter 2 and 3 are a little bit of a nightmare, but Chapter 4 is probably the easiest, but it's still like a decent endgame challenge though, but it does have a ton of 5-star shards there. But once you got the collector down and you're farming 100% uncollected every single month, your next goal is to actually push for Act 5 completion, which does give you a fully formed 5-star crystal as well. So that's very nice there. Then we also have the road to the Labyrinth of Legends, which gives you 1,000 for completion, but that's not really something to worry about. My advice for a lot of people when it comes to road to Labyrinth is don't bother with it until you're ready for Labyrinth of Legends. Definitely focus your resources on uncollected and Act 5 first, because it's much better allocated there, because the rewards, yeah, just a bit naff for Road to Labyrinth for the amount of effort that it requires. And then we also have Ultron's Variant completion. There's a fully formed 5-star there. Ultron's Variant 100% exploration. There's a 5-star there, but that does take a fair amount of time. But there are a lot more kind of endgame rewards associated with that one as well. Labyrinth first clear, you got 20,000 5-star shards there, providing you get, you know, a good rank 5 character. If you 100% all of Act 5, then you can go for your Labyrinth first clear, or like a 4-star Aegon man, as we've shown and highlighted on the channel. If you max out 4-star Aegon, you're not going to have too much of a bad time in Labyrinth of Legends. So yeah, there's some great gameplay if you want to look into that. But then we have Labyrinth of Legends 100%, which gives you 45,000 5-star shards. So a really big stack there. But that is a massive pain in the ass and does take a very long time. So yeah, that's a little bit annoying. But then we have additional stuff in the past, and a lot of the easiest ways to generate 5-star shards actually just comes from like random stuff in the game. Like one of the biggest things for a lot of people that get in their first 5-star champion is just login calendars, and login calendars can vary so much, usually around special events like Christmas, the Chinese New Year, Year of the Pig. You can receive like massive stacks of 5-star shards, but they are pretty random. Like these login calendars, they come all over the place, and sometimes there's like a very small amount of 5-star shards, 250, and sometimes there's like 5,000 in a single month, so it can be a little bit crazy at certain points. But yeah, really random when it does come to their login calendars. But again, a lot of the best stuff is around Christmas for the most part there, so keep an eye out. Also, we have seen twice in the past a 2-star Deadpool arena, once around the 3rd year anniversary and once around the start of this year, which gave you a total of 10,000 5-star shards for a very easy grind with 2-star champions. So yeah, this is a very rare one, but just kind of, you know, when it's out, man, it's happy days. Like you've got brand new players getting 5-star champions very easily, or their first 5-star very easily. So yeah, I wish that one would come around a little bit more often. We also have stuff like champion and celebrity challenges, which usually in chapter 1 have about 2,000 5-star shards, and usually if you do the ultra hard chapter 2, awards towards a fully formed 5-star crystal. We also have boss rush challenges, which are comparatively a little bit easier. They've been in the past, they're like 6 bosses in a row and give about 1,000 5-star shards for completion, so not really a huge amount there. One of the big sources for a lot of people in terms of 5-star shards, and this one has huge variants, a kind of bonus events. So most months, I would say probably about 80% of months in Marvel Contest of Champions have some sort of like side bonus event, which could be like Trials of the Alchemist. We've seen like Trials of the King, Trials of the Mad Titan as well. Over Christmas we had chill challenges, stuff like dimensional rifts as well. There's such a huge variance. Like next month we got this Nick Fury event, which we're not really too sure what it is yet, but these bonus events for a lot of people, again, they vary depending on the month in terms of difficulty by a huge amount and also reward by a huge amount. So it's kind of one of those things that fluctuates so much on a month-to-month basis. But some of the best events in history have probably been like Gwenpool Goes to the Movies. I think without a doubt was one of the absolute top events there. I also think that this month we've had a Deadpool event and a bonus challenge that's been really, really good. It's pretty straightforward, kind of around like Act 4, like Act 5 early difficulty to get fully formed 5-star from kind of Master and also Epic completion, but also you get free legendary crystals as well, which have like a 20% chance to get 5-star champion. But basically there's always so many like bonus events going on in the game that you want to keep a bit of an eye on the updates and channels and announcements, and usually there's lots of stuff in game about it as well. But yeah, month to month, man, there are always so many little different ways that you can get 5-star champions. And we've also seen a piece of content called The Maze, which was a bit rubbish and awarded I think it was 7,500 5-star shards for completion, but yeah, for a lot of people that definitely was not worth the effort of doing the maze 100%. And then we also have just a couple of additional ways as well. We've got the brand new system of Infinity Dungeons, which has kind of been reintroduced and constantly revamped over the last few months, and Infinity Dungeons are really only worth it for endgame players, kind of smashing out all the milestones once you've got kind of a good 5-star rank 4, rank 5 champion. Gives you like just over 3,000 dungeon artifacts, and if you can do that in like 30 to 45 minutes, it's a pretty good time, and you need 27,000 artifacts to buy one of the crystals. But the crystals, they contain 10 characters, and usually a good like, I would say like 6 or 7 of those characters in most crystals are pretty rubbish. There's only like one good champion or really, really good character in every single crystal. So yeah, just in my experience, man, the Infinity Dungeon crystals have absolutely shat on me. But if you can get them done, man, they're not the worst time in the world, and some people, you know, have smashed out a few rounds of these, managed to get like a 5-star Corvus or Ghost in the past. So, you know, I just haven't had the best luck personally. And the final one is whale out and spend your dosh on 5-star offers, and the best 5-star offers are usually stuff like the 5-star daily cards, the offers that we get on July 4th, Christmas, and Cyber Monday. However, when it comes to 5-star champions, they're quite an end-game premium, so they do charge usually quite a fair bit for them, man. They're usually quite expensive when these offers do come around. I think kind of the best deals, really, that you're going to get for a single 5-star are usually in the region of something about like $50 US, so they're bloody expensive when they do come around. And in terms of like the featured Grandmaster crystals that you unlock once you get uncollected, those are just such a terrible gamble. Speaking from somebody that's, you know, opened like hundreds and hundreds of them, they're just not worth it at all. So if you do want to spend like a little bit, you want to wait for the really, really good offers when it does come to the 5-star champion crystals, but those are very, very rare. And then finally, I just wanted to cover kind of my pro tips and general advice for big 5-star roster growth. And one of the biggest things, again, if you want to get those big stacks of shards and start progressing, you've got to get the collector down on Act 5.2 and 100% uncollected every single month as quick as you can, because that's pretty much another 5-star champion every single month. So this really helps your roster grow quite quickly. You also want to try and join an alliance that's above tier 12 in Alliance War and is smashing out the 3-day events and Summoner Advancement. Again, we've broken down all of the ways via alliance events that kind of adds up a fair bit. Christmas and the New Year are always a great time for free shards, so you know, if you're looking to be a fair bit lazy, it's always a good time just to log in and get a ton of free stuff there. Also, jump into the 5-star featured arena and qualify for ranked rewards whenever you can. Again, this is a bit more of an endgame one here, but you can see for just jumping into the 5-star featured arena, like just getting the 1 million on participation, which can be, you know, just a couple of rounds to do. That's 200 5-star shards, and if you're, you know, getting all those shards every single week, along with the gold and battle chips, it all can really add up in the long run for, you know, not too much effort for a lot of endgame players. But again, you do need a little bit of an established endgame roster before you can do that one. And again, make sure you log in every day to take advantage of login calendar rewards, because, you know, for the standard month, a lot of the 5-star shards are kind of locked in the final place, so if you do miss days, you are going to miss out on them. And also, in most scenarios, when it comes to spending your shards as well, it is better to buy a 5-star basic crystal over the featured for progressing players, but both are always a gamble though. And there are, you know, certain scenarios with certain featured crystals, if there's like really good odds at getting like an absolutely game-changing character, where it might be worth the gamble. But generally speaking, for the majority of people, it's much better to often go for the basic ones in a lot of scenarios. However, there are some exceptions to that, so it's not always the case there. And also, the tip number 7 is pick up any cheap basic champions from the 4-star basic arena you don't already have. So if it's a champion that is kind of not a brand new release, and it's not their first debut to the 4-star basic arena, and it's like a rerun, it's an old character like a Magneto or a Thor Jane Foster or Kamala, or just a champion that not too many people are interested in, you should try and go for an arena if you don't already have it, because then once you duplicate that champion, you're going to get ISO, you're going to get the 5-star shards, and also you get the 300 5-star shards for getting the 1 to 10% in the 4-star basic, along with the champion as well. So that grind could potentially be, you know, 575 5-star shards plus a ton of ISO as well. So that can be very, very useful. And also, it might be a champion that gets super buffed in the future and becomes a great asset to your roster. So something to keep in mind there. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for how to farm 5-star shards in 2019. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video and breakdown. If you did, please do smash that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Leave your thoughts and any additional pro tips that you have in the comments section below. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.